So, guys, a few weeks ago, I was at a New Japan Pro Wrestling show in Trenton, New Jersey, the USA show, and they had like Andrade versus I think Yuka Toji, if I'm saying his name correctly, Konosuke Takeshita. I think he faced El Phantasmo and a few other really great matches. But I do want to mention that I was sexually harassed at the event, and it's a little controversial because I understand some people may say this is or is not sexual harassment. But there was a security guard. He guided me to the wrong seat, and he decided to like walk over to me and wrap his arms around me and say, "Hey, you're in the wrong seat." And then he went to another person, and he was like petting that person and walking away. Really, and I've definitely been having an issue with a lot of people sexually harassing me. Um, and I remember like working at my job at the hospital, and there'd be people patting me. There was this really creepy guy named Javon kissing me, rubbing my chest, and other things like that. So I'm very, very happy that I reported what happened to me at the New Japan Pro Wrestling event. Because if we don't feel comfortable, we always have to say things. And then the other thing, too, is that I'm not sure where this started, but there is a huge issue of people petting people. And we all have to understand that, first of all, you don't touch people that you don't know. Or, like, I remember I was on a plane, there was this woman that was going, hey, 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 hey. And she's not even she's another passenger. So sometimes we got to say, hey, don't put your hands on me. Or how would you like it if I put my hands on you? Or, hey, you're a woman and we all understand how it goes in this country. You know what? If I put my hands on you, you can scream rape, but if but if you do it to me, there's a double standard. But the person who did that to me at the New Japan Pro Wrestling show, he was actually a guy really, but I'm not sure where this comes from, and sometimes there's also this woke culture. So sometimes people may be comfortable with touching people, or men hugging men that they don't know really, and that's not okay really because obviously that goes into the line of sexual harassment. And some people will say that's indoctrination. You have to be a homosexual. You have to accept hugs and kisses from people you don't know because we're trying to be open to the LGBTQ community. Even though that's what some people feel, but that's one of the reasons why we don't sexually harass because obviously it creates a lot of hate towards LGBTQ, or it makes people say, hey, maybe there's indoctrination culture, which means everybody has to be gay. So if there's a person on the street and they look sad, you have to run up to them and give them a hug and a kiss, even if you don't know them. Or that's how we greet people, or that's how we give attention to people. Oh, well, I was sitting in the wrong seat, so somebody needs to give me a hug that they don't know really. But I'm also happy that I reported this because it made me feel uncomfortable, and it made me be like, hey, this is not okay really, because a lot of times people have a mentality. Sometimes when this happens, a lot of people may be like, what the fuck, and then they just let it go really. They're a little bothered, then they let it go. But I've kind of learned in my life, no, you don't do that. If something bothers you, you have to say or do something right away really, because if not, then that person's not held accountable, and there's no changes really. So what happened was that I wrote a letter to the security, not to the security, but to the arena, and I said, hey, during this event, this is what happened. Gave the date, described the person, and when it happened, and how I felt, and I also gave like consequence. Like I said, like first of all, this was not appropriate, but I don't want to see this person terminated because I don't think that that is that's way too severe of a punishment. Really, maybe like a spoken to saying, "Hey, you know what? Maybe a pat on tap on the shoulder is okay, but don't go around like wrapping your arms around people like you're trying to be romantic with them because honestly, that's very inappropriate." And then obviously, as we know, that if I was a woman, he's a man, and he's a man. So if I was a woman and he did that to me, we all know how it goes in this country when it's a man doing that to a woman and a man doing that to a man. It's we all understand the double standards, really. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm not, I'm more of an advocate against sexual harassment against men, because now we live in a culture and it's kind of shifted where, like obviously in the 50s, you can, people slapping a woman on the ass was acceptable back then. It was never right. Like there's a lot of old movies with sexual harassment towards women, or a woman works in your workplace, you slap them on the ass. That happened a lot in the 1950s. I grew up in the 90s and the 2000s, so you can obviously make a lot of sexual jokes towards women. You can say the word faggot a lot. Anywhere you went, that wasn't an issue. But in the 2010s, nowadays, it seems like, when it comes to straight men, you can sexually harass straight men, or you can say, oh, well, maybe you're homophobic, or maybe you're transphobic. You have to accept hugs and kisses from people you don't know. Even if it's a trans person, a gay person, a straight person, or a sus person. And a sus person is somebody who is straight. It's basically metrosexual, like somebody who's straight, but they act, gay in a way, but they're not gay, So, but it was just not appropriate that happened. But I stood up for myself and I said something, because obviously, also the other issue is sometimes there's people that get mad and they punch a person back in the face for doing that, and then you go to jail and the issue doesn't get settled really. But importantly, keep your fucking hands to yourself. Obviously, if you're a security guard, you have special you have to follow special rules, and you have to be more responsible for how you put your hands on people. There's a reason why if you're a security guard or you're a cop, you get tased before using a taser, so you know how much juice to give somebody. But you don't do something. But also too, I'm very sure in their training, they're taught how to apprehend people. They're taught how to put their hands on people appropriately, and this was not appropriate. You don't wrap your arms around somebody that you don't know and fuck you. And if he lost his job, well, fuck him, because that's not appropriate. And I'm not going to tolerate that. I'm not going to tolerate that happening to me. And I did the right thing to stand up for myself.